it lights your face up, and the background's dark. Anyway, yeah. So I knew it was wrong initially. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mike. Welcome to Talking Niagara this morning. This is a hot day in October. Today it's supposed to be getting pretty high, about getting on for 30.
30, wow. It was pretty warm yesterday.
Yeah, it was. So welcome this morning to Talking Niagara, your live morning talk show. Okay, so let's talk about the news and events that impact the Niagara Falls area. Okay, so here's a question: is Niagara's police getting tough on no tolerance of open air illicit drug use, which is mirroring Peterborough's approach in 2023? The move comes as a response to mounting community concerns and about public safety on visible drug use in parks and transit hubs and rising paramedic calls. And I have to say that I echo many of those concerns.
Yes, we all do. Well, we find a lot of our people are intimidated by the drug use. On Saturday, I think it was, I was with Gary Wilkins having a beer. After we'd gone to the military museum, after I had gone there, I met Gary, and we ended up at the Grand Central. And while we were there sitting outside having a beer, there was a guy there that just kind of came to the opposite corner, and he just started sort of convulsing a little bit, standing up. And then next thing you know, he collapsed.
Yeah.
And there he was right in the middle of the street. And there was families going up and down the street, mom, dad, little boy, little girl kind of thing. And there he was right in the middle, like he collapsed right in front of them or close to them.
I get somebody being, that's clear signs of drug use. I get somebody being sick, maybe folding over. It happens all the time, but that collapsing is certainly drug use.
Yeah, it was definitely that. Now, although that was unsightly and not exactly something that the young family would like to have seen, but on the other hand, it seemed like people downtown was just a regular thing they see all the time.
Yeah.
So they just, just that's all that happened, and now that could intimidate a lot of people. That guy was not going to be a problem. He wasn't going to steal anything or anything like that.
Well,
but
no,
when he needs his next fix, when he needs his next fix, what's he going to do if he doesn't have the money to buy it?
Yeah, and that's, you see, exactly, that's part of the problem. We know that there's petty thievery going on when there's drug use, because there are people who need their next fix, and I mean not in 5 days from now. I mean in 20 minutes from now, type of thing.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Well, and unfortunately, now we have this situation where we are now comparing our approach to that which happened in Peterborough. And I have the same source, Gary, who had gone to Peterborough, and he told me how bad it was there, that there were lots and lots of those people, addicts, displaying the bent over folds that Ruth Ann Newestag purported to have seen around her business, which is the funeral home on Main Street.
Yeah.
So the problem here is, what did Peterborough do? Peterborough had a no tolerance drug use in open spaces, and they claim that it has been successful. That what they do is they approach the person, confiscate their drugs, try to approach them respectfully and direct them towards areas where, away from the downtown or residential areas and to places where they can get some counseling or whatever. But they also confiscate the drugs. Now, according to the article, and according to what Jim Diodati has reported back from talking to the Peterborough mayor, he has found that the BIAs and the people of the town are happy about it, because what they do is they round up. It looks as if they direct the addicts away from downtown, and the addicts are no longer feel themselves safe doing drugs in those areas. But the idea that they've directed them towards treatment centers and other places, or safe drug using spaces that are away from the residential or commercial areas of the town, is denied by the people who are in those places, see no extra referrals. So basically what it seems to be happening is those people who are using those drugs are now sort of just doing them some other place. So it may have cleaned up the town a bit and had the addicts move away from the areas where they interact with all the rest of the people and just gone underground, or just gone and hit it someplace else, which means it will fester somewhere else and pop up as a problem.
And that's not curing the problem. That's basically still, the problem still exists.
Yes, it does. But what it has done, though, and it has mixed blessings here, because it has moved. It has made the city streets more safer. People coming back downtown. The BIAs, according to Diodati's report after talking to the Peterborough mayor, there was a lot of compliments or encouragement by the people of Peterborough to keep this program going, because now they feel much better that they are in a situation like this where they don't have to deal with the fentanyl drug use that they've seen, the folding over people and the petty crimes and that which result. Yeah. However, it really does not. All it does is move the problem. It's like when they come down on prostitution. Say the sex trade workers are on a certain corner. Everybody knows that, or a certain area. The police come and raid it. All that does is move it to someplace else. And I think this is the same thing with this drug thing. The fact of the matter is, these people are using drugs, and once they start, that's nearly impossible to get away from using them without a whole lot of help, expensive help too. It could be. What are we doing? Are we doing what I've said before, that these people will be thought of wastrels and offscourings of society? They will be moved to certain areas. You're allowed to exist over there. You can go there, do all the drugs you want, and die in a ditch. That's okay. Now, the argument against this, of course, is these people are now being separated from the community when they should be thought to be a part of the community, that's in a situation where they are not. They are part of the community. They are part of us, but they are in a desperate situation. What do? In this particular, our approach up until now is we are our brothers and sisters keepers. We should do something about them. But more and more, the attitude is we are not our brothers and sisters keepers. If you are like that, you are not really part of the community. You are now have to go somewhere else, out of sight, and die over there. Right? And it doesn't, at least when they're downtown or something like that, when they are picked up, they can be directed towards treatment centers. Now, the drug addicted drug addiction counselors and homeless counselors and things like that in Peterborough see no rise of referrals to them. The BIA sees the drug users gone, but the treatment centers see no increase in people attending. So where are they going? They're going into the shadows.
Yeah, that's arguably that's worse than worse than seeing it in public.
It's hard to say because it's a band-aid solution. Obviously, you're just shifting the problem, but they're still going to need money for their addiction. That still means there's going to be crime. Because you've cleaned up the downtown and the BIAs are nice and happy about it, where then will that problem go? Will it go into the neighborhoods? Will it go, into the parking lots? Who knows where it's going to go next?
Yeah,
it's very clear that we have to do something about it, but nobody seems to know what to do about it. And this may be a stopgap and encourage people to come back downtown to do shopping or whatever else. For some reason, drug addicted people seem to want to be in the downtown areas. I suppose that's the place where they can sort of get more drugs or whatever else. We know in St. Catharines, hang around the bus stops and the libraries during the wintertime, that in and around the library, there was needles and defecation and all kinds of other stuff. So there's a significant problem with people who are drug addicted and do not know how to control themselves.
Yeah.
In any meaningful way. They live on the very peripheries of society, and they don't add to society. They don't pay their taxes. They don't whatever. Well, they don't have a means of income, so they usually beg or steal money.
Yeah.
Steal things to supply their habit.
Yeah, and here I have to ask the question whether the Peterborough solution is really working. And according to the police chief, Stuart Bett, Safer Public Spaces initiative that they launched has led to a noticeable reduction in public drug use around parks, playgrounds, transit shelters, etc. But the critics say there's no, there's serious trade-off, because they're not saying they've displaced, as you said, the vulnerable people. They've increased the overdose risk, and I think that they potentially straining relationships between the police and marginalized communities.
Well, it's going to happen, isn't it? Although they claim that they approach the drug user with kind of like with respect, basically, and don't intimidate them, but they want them out of there.
Yeah, but
so as far as the police is concerned, I'm going to direct you to a place where you can do all that. Meanwhile, I'm going to take your drugs away if you're doing that. So if they take the drugs away from someone, that makes them in a super desperate situation. And then if you do not then put them in some sort of a treatment center where, and of course, people in this situation don't want to go to treatment centers. That means they're going to have to go through the withdrawals. And I guess fentanyl withdrawal is pretty bad. It's a lose-lose situation. It's the catch-22. Yeah. You want your parks, and like, there's nothing worse than you have family of people. Like the park that I'm close to here had a couple of homeless people start to move up into this area. It was horrifying to the people around here because they've got kids and everything like that. And so you get homeless people defecating in the park, and you've got them doing drugs in the park, and you can imagine what everybody was thinking. Meanwhile, I didn't see that. I just saw them there. They weren't doing anything bad as far as I could see. And not all homeless people are drug addicted either. So, but they all seem to have a shopping cart loaded with stuff. I don't know,
Yeah.
But they don't have a home, whatever. There's a psychology problem here, and I've talked to business owners, and they said these people don't want help. That's their attitude is. You can direct them towards help. They don't want help. They just don't want help. They just want to be absolved of responsibility. And some of them are drug addicted. Some have mental problems, but others just do not want any help. They just kind of like that lifestyle of irresponsibility and just hanging out, doing nothing. That sort of vagabond sort of approach to life. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I hear.
Yeah. Well, the question here is that Peterborough is saying that they've reduced public drug use in visible spaces, but but again, as we've just been saying, that just means it's hidden, and that's not making the problem go away.
Well, on the surface, they were supposed to, like, where the reduction of drug addicted people or drug using people in the city streets and parks are supposed to be shifted to treatment centers, but that's not where they're going.
Yeah.
Right. They're going somewhere, but they're off the streets and out of the parks, which is very happy for a family taking their kids to the park. You don't have to worry about some guy doing a fentanyl zombie walk. It's a pretty ugly thing what happens to them. I've watched in the last month or so. I've seen a couple, of guys just, I don't know what they're doing. They look like they're possessed. There is, Gary said, called the zombie drugs. Well, I can see why. They do look like the zombies on TV, the way they move around, that sort of irregular motion and bending forward. Newestag, of course, mentioned it in and around her business. She calls it the fentanyl fold. It is not a good thing to see.
No.
And yet they, and yet, do you really want all that to happen in your city park, in your parks, when you take your kids to the park?
No, but the thing is, I don't want to see it happening at all. But that doesn't mean to say, there's an easy answer on this.
No, there isn't. That's the whole point. There's never have been and we are moving more and more to the point where our frustration level with the situation is pushing us to the point where we regard them as wastrels and offscourings. And I keep using those two words because that is what people thought of poor people that could not integrate in society years ago. Wastrels and offscourings, just a thing that happens, and you just have to keep them over there somewhere. They aren't going to be integrated into society.
That sounds as if it comes from Jack London or H.G. Wells or no, what's his name? George Orwell.
No, it comes from the common term used for white trash in going way back into the 1700s, late 1700s, but fully all through the 1800s and the early 1900s. Those communities all over the place who had the white trash or the poor white people that really could not make the leap into ordinary living became termed the wastrels and offscourings, also called clay eaters and that kind of thing. They were thought to be near feral people that would never be able to integrate into society.
All right. Okay, so in August, Niagara's unemployment climbed to 7.3% from 5.8% in July. That's a bit of a steep rise in August, because normally the unemployment doesn't really hit until the end of at least scales down in September and then hits worst at the end of October with Niagara.
I think I think it's a lot less worse than we thought it might be.
But we
We
haven't.
had reduction of, and of course, our economy is still based on tourism, and of course, tourism is seasonal, so you expect a drop of employment after the tourist season. So there's a little bit of a rise.
Yeah,
when
but August is
season
still
begins
tourist
and it
season.
drops off. Yeah.
August is still tourist season.
Well, yeah.
Normally
that's when they start getting rid of their. It says job market showed signs of softening in August, with unemployment rising, employment rate dipping, slightly rounding, slightly. It says slightly, so it's not huge, right?
Yeah.
Rounding out a slower than usual summer market by modest seasonal job gains and shifting labor dynamics. So we did have a softer than usual tourist season. That probably because we had a lot less Americans coming up this way. But it seems to be a trend. I think it's just people are one aspect of reduced tourism. We find that huge amounts of Canadians are not going to the States. That's for two reasons, as we know. Number one, because of the attitude of the beloved leader down there. That has dissuaded a lot of Canadians from going down there, but it also is because of our dollar, and our ability to holiday in the United States being reduced by the dismal performance of our dollar. So that those are a couple different reasons and we find that the Americans are not coming up here as much, and that's obviously because they haven't got the confidence in their own economy to come up this way. They don't feel comfortable enough to come up this way because of finances, not because of politics.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, but it's just to me. Okay. So one of the things they've said, job postings went down 11.5% from July, indicating a cooling of demand. Youth employment rose. But their unemployment rate remains high compared to pre-pandemic levels. Top hiring sectors included retail, healthcare, and hospitality.
Yeah. So the seasonal, and we found a softer market, but we didn't see it as bad as we thought we might get. So I suppose the silver lining, even with softening workforce, is that it wasn't as bad as it could be. You got stabbed instead of shot. You know what I mean? If you like to put it that way. What's next? Like in August, Niagara's unemployment climbed to 7.3%, up from 5.8% in July, and the employment rate also fell slightly from 56.5 from 56.9. So the employment rate for there, and despite that, the participation rate, the share of people looking for work, held steady at 60.7%.
Yeah. The other thing is that full-time employment is lower than its peak at April 2025 by 9,000 jobs. So the summer didn't mean much.
It didn't mean much, but it didn't get really, really bad. August was a bit of a disappointment, but a bit of a disappointment, not a huge disappointment. I think those are the areas we have to cling on to, particularly with the situation we're having now, the disruption in world trade, the uncertainty everyone feels about what's next in the economy going forward. I think these are the things that dissuade people from traveling. It also is that which is affecting the job markets everywhere. You find layoffs in the United States and Canada a lot, despite all the hoofra about major investments in the United States. We only hear about layoffs in the U.S. right now, or farm workers and farms, soybeans and stuff like that are not going to be sold. Our canola oil is not going to be sold. So all of these things have reverberations throughout the economy. And I think we're just in a situation where we're in a point of uncertainty. We've got a couple of different wars going on that causes uncertainty. We have a trade war going on, which causes uncertainty. And most of all, we have an uncertainty even if we do come up with a trade deal with the United States or any other country does, it could change instantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And tourism, of course, right now is tapering off completely. Youth and precarious workers are always hit the hardest, and housing and affordability pressures are all likely to intensify as people, as there's a higher unemployment rate.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
However, I don't see anything coming out of this. I think it's tied basically to the economy of North America, and until that uncertainty goes away, I think that's partial reason for all of this. I think people are uncertain and they're not going to spend their money. We find people buying less new cars, less new fridges, less new everything. The mechanic I go to tells me that he is finding more and more people fixing that car rather than trading it in for a new one because they are uncertain about the future going forward. So I think it's a general trend. I don't know when we're going to get out of this. We might not get out of it until the beloved leader south of the border is no longer the beloved leader and somebody else more sensible gets in there. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on. A man showers in the waterfall display at Niagara Falls City Hall. Now, I'm curious about this. Going back to the homeless question, was it a homeless guy?
No, apparently not. So I'm automatically you would think it was a homeless person, and Jim Daddy has spoken saying you can get free showers at the Gale Center. Homeless people can go there, get a shower. They can clean up there. That is provided by the city. And of course, I think he's assuming the guy's homeless, but witnesses say the guy was dressed in a suit and took it off and went down to his underwear and went in there for a nice shower in the falls. And there's pictures of it and a little video of it too.
Yeah.
So that the guy's just kind of cooling down. I don't know what happened. Maybe he was super hot and couldn't stand it anymore. I don't know. But the witnesses say that he had a suit. But that doesn't mean anything either, because I've seen lots of homeless people with
I've seen a homeless
because they buy them or they get them from Goodwill or something or from handouts or whatever. Yeah, so I've seen
homeless
I've seen some homeless people in some pretty nice suit jackets,
Yeah, I've seen homeless people with suits on. Yeah.
God, the homeless guy that parked in our lobby here at about 8 or 9 months ago, he during the winter time, or he was it wasn't even the winter, it was last fall, I think it was. He had an absolutely brand new construction coat with the orange and chartreuse on it. It was brand new. It's brand new. I mean, 3 sizes too big for him, but that's what he had.
Yeah. So obviously somebody had probably given one of those away in a donation somewhere.
Possibly.
Or
it was brand new. I have a feeling he might have lifted it from a construction site where the guy had just left it there by accident.
It's embarrassing, yeah, but that's a possibility. That's always a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the mayor and CAO basically issued a joint statement about they don't condone such behaviour. Of course they don't. Who would?
So,
Not any one of us would condone that behaviour if we were in public office, would we?
no, we wouldn't, of course. And but if you're hot and you need a shower, it's right there. Perhaps this fellow was very impulsive. I'd rather see showering nice-looking young lady showering there myself, but
that's personal choice, though. Come on.
That's true. But I think it should be encouraged among nice-looking women. But of course, I'm not going to get my, my wish there. The idea that the guy's gone in there and had a cool down, I think, and had a shower, or whatever. Now he may have been a homeless guy. He looked pretty fit though, and it didn't look as if he'd been missing any meals or that from the video I saw. I think he's just a guy that just thought, I'm going to cool down, man. I'm just going to go in there and cool down.
Or maybe he set up a viral video for this on a deliberate purpose.
I don't really think so, because the video wasn't all that good. It would have been a much better video if it was set up.
Yeah.
So I think it's just I don't know. I think he was just impulsive and he wanted to get cooled down. I haven't
watched the video and I'm not going to.
Yeah. So, well, the guy's not naked.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
So he's just in there enjoying the cool water that's on him, it seems to me.
Yeah.
And I think it was probably an impulsive reaction. Maybe he even thought it was an area where families go as a little water park. Who knows? I don't know what it was. What do you do about a guy like that? You just shoo him out of there. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's going to become common practice.
No, I wouldn't even think about it. And part of the reason for that waterfall there is because we're Niagara Falls, of course, right?
Exactly.
So turned off in the winter, right? 9 times out of 10 when I've gone there, it's turned off.
Yeah,
turned off at night.
And it may be turned off longer if we don't get our water and sewage things all set up. You never know. It may be you never know. It may be the source of community water if our sewer water and sewer treatment plants aren't brought up to snuff. They're too old as it is now. Yeah, I could just see everybody from Queen Street coming there with their bucket to fill up water because they're not getting it in their homes.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to a question that's been discussed a lot publicly. FIFA reportedly won't discuss a potential ban on Israel from international soccer. Neither will UEFA.
Israel's getting special treatment. Of course, it's being the Palestinian Football League has asked FIFA to restrict Israel from playing. This would have been much easier. They can easily do it with Russia. They shut Russia out. They shut other countries out just like that. But when it comes to Israel, with the amount of powerful backup they have from the United States, it's a much harder thing to do. And in fact, in the article, it even says that they're worried about the backlash from the United States, not the backlash from Israel, not the backlash from the other nations who may support or not support that kind of a decision, just from the United States.
Yeah. Well, and that brings up its own problem, because there's a lot of people out there asking whether FIFA should withdraw should reassign the US cities that are hosting the World Cup next year to Canada and Mexico. There's being asked already, and FIFA doesn't want to get involved.
No, because the big problem is the United States is vindictive, and especially when it supports Israel, it's vindictive at the best of times. Now, with a guy like the beloved leader, that he is extremely vindictive. He's going to go after them. There are going to be consequences if they do it. So they can't do it. Even though the United States is not exactly a soccer nation, not yet. It's sort of moving that way. But the United States is not a soccer nation. It's not an important FIFA country. The rest of the world, of course, in
and the
rest of the world is, but not the United States.
And let's be honest about it here. Israel's chances of qualifying for the actual for the final competition is quite low.
But that is not the point. The whole point is that, like, I personally, I don't agree at all about athletes being punished for their actions of their government. Yeah. I never agreed that Russian athletes should be restricted from FIFA, from the Olympics, from World Cup, or any other thing like that. I don't believe so. Others have a different opinion. They feel by isolating the country like they did South Africa during the apartheid era brings a lot of attention to that country. On the other hand, that country's athletes are now who have trained and all that, done like every other athlete, are now restricted because of politics.
Yeah.
Now, others feel that the demonstration of restricting a country that's doing really bad stuff, and we see Israel doing really bad stuff right now, is a way in which to bring world attention to that problem. It worked with South Africa. It was one of the things that worked against South Africa. It's put pressure on Russia before when they've been restricted. So we have note Ronald Reagan wouldn't allow the Russians to compete in those days, the Soviets, in the 1980 Olympics, I think, and it was the 1984 Olympics that the Russians did exactly the same thing to the Americans when they did not. Ronald Reagan did not. The West did not send their athletes for the Olympics in 1980, I think it was, which was in Moscow, and then Russia turned around and did the same thing to the 1984 Olympics that were in LA. So you had two very poor Olympics because of politics.
Because of politics, yeah.
And do you now continue to do that? I don't know. We saw what happened when the Israeli football team went to the Netherlands, didn't we? Where the Dutch were accused of anti-Semitism because of the fights that broke out between the football fans. But it turned out the football fans were the real problem. They were ones that instigated it all. Well, so are we gonna get into that again? Are we gonna get fights? Are we gonna get? And the other aspect of it, of course, are you going to get people with bombs or attacking the Israeli football team? It might be better for the Israeli football team if they didn't attend, because there's going to be, of course, a lot of nutcases out there trying to put a bullet into them or bomb among them.
Yeah. Well, Israel does have a chance of qualifying. I just looked it up. They're in Group I of the European qualification section, and they're currently in third place with 9 points, which is the same number of points as Italy have got, funnily enough. So the Italians are not doing so well right now.
So why are they in that division anyway? Shouldn't they be in the Asian? Or
they should be in the Asian, but the issue has been that they, you know,
they would have to play in Iran, and they would have to play in Iraq, and they would have to play in Uzbekistan, anywhere where they're unwelcome. So I get that.
Yeah.
So we've already accommodated the Israeli team to make them more comfortable playing, and they're more comfortable playing among the Europeans.
Europeans rather than playing in, playing in other places that they wouldn't be welcome.
Well, yeah, like Israel, despite being an ethno-religious state, is very much closer, of course, to the West.
Yeah.
And all other things. The fact that the ethno-religious thing is, aside from that, they're very close to the West.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a democracy for the Jewish citizens of Israel, and they don't have a democracy for the Palestinians or the in the Gaza Strip or the West Bank. They just want their land. So what do you do? What do you do if you're FIFA? Of course, normally speaking, it wouldn't be an issue. Normally speaking, what's happened in Gaza right now would have jeopardized, would have seen them removed or unable to play in FIFA. But because they're backed up by the United States, and FIFA is afraid of the consequences of rattling the beloved leader, they're hedging.
Yeah.
So Israel gets another. Its strong relationship with the United States not only gets its veto power, it uses its veto power in the United Nations. It may also get included in this FIFA Cup when it normally would not have. Any other country would not have, because of what the government's doing.
Yeah. And where I'm now having to worry, I now worry, apart from the fact that under Steph Blatter, there was that whole issue about FIFA and its briberies, etc., the whole money in FIFA has been a problem, and even these games that were set up in US, Canada, Mexico were set up under Steph Blatter's regime, and that's wholly dubious. We still got a problem with FIFA.
Oh, FIFA is totally corrupt and very open to influence peddling. We find some, like we had, like, wasn't one of the FIFA administrators had an apartment just for his cat that came out of the FIFA funds. FIFA is a corrupt organization that takes payoffs and influence peddling from a lot of people I've read. Like, it's been a while since I've read about it, but I was shocked about how corrupt FIFA was and how easily it is to get to the top with money and payoffs and all that other stuff. It's remarkable. And in the Olympic, it really kind of was very similar to the Olympic Committee. Olympic Committee was all these people were being paid off and given free trips in the Olympic Committee too, when it comes to deciding where the next Olympics was going to go. They were very corrupt as well. So when FIFA, so who's going to listen to FIFA? If FIFA says, okay, we're going to ban Israel from the next FIFA games or the next World Cup, you're going to get a flood of revelations about FIFA and how dirty they are and how influence peddled they are. And they might not want a whole lot of that, because now they're unleashing the resources of both Israel and the United States to blacken the name of FIFA and bring into focus certain FIFA individuals that are corrupt, and you can just make stuff up too. That's another thing, So
and while Steph Blatter was never accused of anything, any wrongdoing, it's clear that the wrongdoing centered all around him.
Oh yeah, our who's the Canadian guy for the Olympics? Pound, I think his name was. He talked about that. within the Olympics. So I imagine it happens within FIFA too. The corruption, the backdoor policies, because there's big money and big reputation. So I don't know. These like FIFA pronounces that Israel shouldn't be part, and now that would be the policy normally. And as I said before, there's been a lot of pressure to do that. The Norwegians don't want them involved. Of course, the Palestinians don't want them involved. There's others calling for a ban on Israel during the World Cup. And that is normally the practice they do when they have a misbehaving nation, basically. They've done it to Russia. They've done it to others. However, they've done it to Iran, I think, in the past, Iraq, whatever. So they're going to find it much more difficult to do it against Israel because of the powerful influence of their of the United States, who protects them in all situations, and the backlash that FIFA fears they're going to get from the president of the United States. So they're going to get special treatment, and I doubt very much they're going to be banned because FIFA is more afraid of the president than they are of the member nations. The only thing that's going to happen is that those member nations then withdraw their teams from the World Cup, which won't happen.
Which, of course, won't happen. You know that. I know that. Right. Well, actually, the thing is, Russia is not in the current in the UEFA lineup for the World Cup this time.
They've already banned them, and I think they've banned them for a while. So what's the difference with Israel? The difference is Israel has the big backup of the United States. And they're right now they're causing a genocide in Gaza. They have subjected the people to about 70,000 deaths, and they have about 150,000 maimed people in Gaza. They have completely ruined it's just one big pile of rubble.
Yeah.
And dangerous rubble too, because a lot of it had asbestos in it. So when it comes to cleaning up, and every time a bomb explodes and asbestos goes in there, so we don't know starvation tactics they were using, all that. Any other country doing 1/4 of what Israel has done would have been banned from FIFA, but they're going to get preferential treatment.
But again, Belarus, Ukraine, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Armenia, not that one, and many other former Soviet nations are all included. Moldova, I believe, is former Soviet as well.
Well, they're all included in the cup. In the cup.
Yeah.
Well, that's because they've done no overt thing. Russia's engaged in a war.
Yeah.
Israel's engaged in a war against the terrorist group, but they also are victimizing every other person they can see.
Yeah.
The atrocities and things that have been happening are fully documented on videos and stuff. And the president is up against in the ICJ for war crimes, the International Court of Justice.
Yeah.
No one else would have, with that going on, would have been allowed to play. Now, my personal opinion, do not punish athletes for what their government is doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
If Canada has done something wrong, and I go traveling, and people are pointing at me, look what you're doing. I'm not doing anything, man. I'm just living. I don't know. Like, I don't have any control over my government. I'll vote against them next time, maybe, or something. But that's how nonsensical it is. So but you could ban their fans, because we saw what happened when the Israeli fans went to Netherlands. They caused a lot of trouble. They were very poorly behaved. They were hooligan-like, like the British fans are often. So you might want to ban Israeli fans, but not the athletes. The athletes themselves, I don't know if they should be punished anywhere in the world.
All right. Moving on to another matter. Canadians need fact-based and fact-checked information, but will they use it?
Yeah, so this is the in an opinion page, and we find this over and over again coming up. Like lately, I've drilled down a lot in, let's say, in the last month or 2 months. I've drilled down a lot in YouTube. Right now, I can't shake off the junk that I'm getting because I went ahead and did that. I drilled down in right wing and left wing influencer type comments just to see where they sat, what kind of stuff they're speaking of. Every once in a while, you get a pearl, something you didn't know, and then you investigate it. It's true, but most of the time, it's overstated rubbish. A lot of the times, and once AI thinks you like that stuff, it's hard to shake it off. You know what I mean? It's hard now to find the stuff that you used to read or watch. But we have an abundance of information through social media and stuff like that, and we are unprepared to edit it ourselves. Now, for me to discount or see that, because I watch and look at the news constantly, I don't like CNN. Fox, of course, is a ridiculous network. If Fox is putting out a baseball game, yeah, but if they're talking politics, it's just utter rubbish. And CNN sometimes is not even close. Sometimes they overdo things. They edit their videos. That business with a certain representative going up to Mike Johnson and saying, the president is completely unhinged. Did you see what he talked about with the generals? The president is unwell. He's unhinged. And Mike Johnson says, "Well, so are people on your side, and I don't think Trump is." But they don't focus on that last part. They just say, "And people on your party are too." But he did also say, "But I don't think Trump is." But nobody pays attention to that part on the left part of the news, right? On the right part of the news, they don't talk about the MAGA guy that shot up a church in Minnesota, the guy who went into the was it Minnesota or was Michigan? Michigan, I think it was, and he shot up the Church of Latter-day Saints. The right-wing influencers right away. It's a left-wing fanatic that hates religion and is targeting religion again. When they drilled down on it and found out the guy was a MAGA supporter, he had MAGA shirts that he wore, he had a MAGA flag, he had two American flags on his truck as he crashed into the building. So he's totally MAGA guy. He just didn't like the Church of the Latter-day Saints. That's why he went and raged. Now suddenly all of that cools down. So you see this explosion of unvetted journalism. It's just rubbish. And I think this is what basically the article is basically. Where do we get solid, objective news? Where can we, the average Canadian, find that? And how do we go ahead?
But I'm going to also ask the question, will they ever use it if they found solid unbiased news?
Well, I find when you talk to people who like to watch Fox, they just take whatever they say verbatim. They think that's news. They don't go over to CNN and see the counter narrative, and you pretty well have to do that. Even though if you do watch both of them, you're not anywhere closer to the truth sometimes.
Well,
So
if I'm going to be
Fox is news entertainment. As a matter of fact, Fox, when in court, they have said that before. We're not a news agency, really. We are a Tucker Carlson was thought to have been a character, not Tucker Carlson, that he was a bloviator, and that was the words in which the judge used. Tucker Carlson cannot be held to account for his reporting because he's not a true journalist. He's a bloviator. He is a character. He's a character, and the audience are supposed to understand that he's a character and not a real journalist, and therefore not to be held to journalistic standards. And that's how Tucker Carlson got off on a case that was brought against him, because Fox successfully defended him as not a real journalist, just a bloviator.
Yeah, news media Canada are basically saying that this is all about clickbaiting largely, and where there's no clicks, there's no money for publishers to reinvest. And in fact, there's no readers are being harmed by this. Is what they're saying.
Yeah, because it's become more and more apparent. Just like I can't shake off the junk now that's coming to me in YouTube, is because they look around to see who's reading it, because it's money and it's attention.
Yeah.
So exaggeration. Even I saw Ben Shapiro once talk, and he quite admittedly said that he over exaggerates and makes things, presents them in such a way that it will be attractive to whoever is watching.
Yeah.
So if you just spell out the facts, you have to be a little bit dramatic. That's the whole point. To get people excited, to get them emotional. Otherwise, they won't turn to your program anymore.
Yeah.
So even if you feel that if you're an influencer and you feel you're doing a rightful purpose, let's say I am, I don't know, maybe just down the middle influencer, if you can find one. Let's say I'm just right down the middle influencer. I can't just talk about the facts. I have to explode them in order to get people to watch me. I have to exaggerate, get emotional, elicit emotion in the people who are watching, so they'll turn to me again. Like the Alex Jones is an extreme example of that.
You'd be saying things like it's 500 years since Canada qualified for the World Cup.
Yeah,
the World Cup has not existed for 500 years.
Yeah, well, but you would take something that somebody would believe. You would make up or exaggerate a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Say one of Canada's athletes wasn't allowed to be in the World Cup. Well, you could explode it to 9 million things. Say one of Canada's athletes are accused of sexual abuse, and they're our best player, basically. Well, you go around and you defend them. So you minimize the abuse that he did and maximize his other qualities, and question the authorities that accused him of it, and sort of murky the waters. But the fact of the man is, the guy abused someone. He should be restricted because of that kind of thing,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very hard for Canadians or Westerners or anybody else with all the different avenues out there.
Okay.
TikTok will go over to an American. American TikTok will go over to an American who is a devout Zionist. So you're going to find a lot less Gaza coverage in that coming up. So there you go. You have to know the sources of your news. And Murdoch owns Fox, and his big thing is to make money, all kinds of money.
Okay, to let you know, it's National Newspaper Week this week, first full week in October, and that's part and parcel of the reason why this article was printed.
Yeah, I'd like to discuss it more, but I got to go. It's Monday morning, and I got to do my bingo run.
That's fine. That's fine.
Anyway, so I'll say goodbye. I'll say that the whole Gaza thing, I don't think that deal is going to come up very well. I hope it does. I hope the bombs, it was a 21-point plan, and it went down to 20 points. The 21 point was that Israel does not annex the West Bank. That was taken off. So you see the ugly hand of Netanyahu all over the deal. There doesn't seem to be much point in negotiating with the West. We'll see. Anyway, if the bombs stop and the people stop dying, I guess that's a good thing overall. Anyway, I don't see it happening anytime soon. But
neither
don't
do I.
forget Gaza. And without further ado, I bid you adieu.
And have a great day, Dave, and
Yes,
everybody.
you too.
Bye.